Somewhere in your house, right now, there is a drawer full of tools you have stopped seeing. A good knife you never sharpened. A camera from an ambitious birthday. The guitar in the closet, learning dust. And somewhere less visible than any of those, a skill you were once praised for and quietly put away, because praise is frightening, and because beginnings are loud, and because it is easier to own a tool than to pick it up. Tonight is about the card that stands at a table and picks it up. He is young. He is standing over a table laid with 4 objects, and if you were paying attention last week, you know the 4 already. A wand, a cup, a sword, a coin. Everything a life is made of, laid out in arm's reach. One of his hands is raised to the sky, the other points at the ground, and over his head, drawn plain as ink, floats the symbol for forever. My name is Galileo. The stars don't lie to me. They do, occasionally, withhold. Last week you met the fool and took the first step off the cliff. Tonight you land, and the first thing waiting for you at the bottom of every cliff, in every story ever told, is power, and the question of what you intend to do with it. Card 1. The Magician. Let us begin. Welcome back to the fire. This is Galileo, and this is the second hour of our long walk through the 78. If you were here last week, you know the shape of the evening by now. Some true history, better than the myths. A lesson that makes the deck smaller in your hands. One card, taken all the way down to the bone. Something you can practice tonight at your own table. And at the end, the mail. Letters from the edges people are standing on, read by the fire, cards pulled out loud. If you are new, welcome. Sit anywhere. You have not missed too much to follow, only the fool, and he would be the first to tell you that arriving unprepared is his entire philosophy. The one thing you need from last week is this. The deck is 2 territories. 22 major arcana, the great chapters, the big weather. 56 minors in 4 suits, wands for the will, cups for the heart, swords for the mind, pentacles for the ground under your feet. Fire, water, air, earth. That is the whole map. You now know enough to be dangerous. Tonight we spend the hour with card number 1, and I want to be honest with you about him from the start, because he is not what he appears, and that, as you will hear, is rather the point of him. The Magician is the most flattering card in the deck. He arrives in your spread dressed as a compliment. Power, skill, manifestation. You have everything you need. People pull him and feel chosen. And all of that is true, and I will spend the hour proving it. But he has a past, this one. A street past. A cups and balls, watch the birdie, check your pockets past. And he has a shadow that walks into readings wearing his exact face. The most useful thing I will teach you tonight is how to tell the difference between the magician in front of you and the trick. But first, as always, the history. Because the story of how this particular card climbed from the gutter to the heavens is one of the best stories the deck has to tell. Last week I told you tarot was born as a game in the courts of Renaissance Italy. Gold leaf, noble families, trump cards parading the furniture of their century. The emperor, the pope, the wheel, death. A procession of the mighty and the inevitable. So let me ask you the obvious question. In that parade of emperors and popes, who do you suppose was trump number 1? The bottom of the ladder? The card every other trump could beat? A street performer. I am not being poetic. That is the literal, historical answer. In the Italian decks he was called Il Bagatto, or Il Bagatello, a word tangled up with meanings of trifle, of small change, of sleight. In France he became Le Batelleur, the mountebank, the juggler. The man who sets up a little folding table in the market square, lays out his cups and his balls and his knives, gathers a crowd with patter, and relieves that crowd of its coins through the oldest technology on earth. Fingers quicker than eyes. Look at the oldest surviving versions of the card, and there is no mystery about who he is. A man at a table. On the table, the tools of the con. Cups, balls, a wand that is not a wand of power, but a conjurer's stick, the classic misdirection prop. In some decks, you can see the crowd. He is not a wizard, he is a hustler. The card meant cleverness, dexterity, and a certain morally flexible charm. The Renaissance knew this man personally. Every market square in Milan had one, and the game's designers made a joke that still sits inside your deck 500 years later. They made him trump number 1, the lowest of the mighty. Above the common suits, yes, the street performer outranks the ordinary world, but beneath everyone else in the parade, beneath the Pope, beneath the Emperor, beneath justice, beneath death. The message was tidy. Cleverness is power, but it is the cheapest kind. 3 centuries pass. The game spreads. And then, as you heard last week, in 1781, a Frenchman named Court de Gebelin looks at a deck of cards at a party and declares the whole thing a lost Egyptian scripture. And once tarot becomes scripture, every card in it must be promoted. No room in a sacred book for a con man with a folding table. So the occultists went to work on him. The 1800s turned le battleur, the juggler, into le magicien, the magician. Eliphas Lévy and the ceremonial magicians of Paris looked at that little table of props and saw, instead, an altar. And when the Golden Dawn got hold of him in London, the transformation was completed with real elegance. The cups and balls became the 4 suit emblems: wand, cup, sword, and pentacle, the 4 elements, the raw material of creation itself, laid out on the altar of the world. The conjurer's stick became a wand of white light raised to heaven. The patter became invocation. The pickpocket's stance, one hand up to draw the eye while the other works, became the oldest gesture in Western mysticism. One hand to the sky, one to the earth. As above, so below. The magus as a living bridge between heaven and ground, drawing power down and giving it form. And in 1909, Pamela Coleman Smith, Pixie, painted the version that ended the argument. Her magician stands in red and white under a bower of roses. The table is formal now, the 4 tools laid out like instruments before surgery. Above his head, unmistakable, the lemniscate, the sideways figure 8, infinity. Around his waist, look closely, a belt in the form of a serpent swallowing its own tail. The Ouroboros, forever, twice, once above his mind and once around his body. From pickpocket to priest of creation in 500 years, the greatest promotion in the history of playing cards. And here is my favorite detail in the whole ascent, because the deck, like any good magician, planted the ending inside the beginning. Go and look at the old Marseille card, the woodblock battleur from the 1600s, the con man at his little table, centuries before anyone called him holy. Look at his hat, an enormous, soft-brimmed thing, and the brim dips and rises and dips again, and the shape it traces, plain as anything once you see it, is a sideways figure 8. The lemniscate, infinity, sitting on the hustler's head as fashion, 300 years before Pixie drew it over the magician as halo. The occultists did not invent that symbol for him. They found it. It was already there, hiding in the hat of a man palming coins in a market square, waiting centuries for somebody to take it literally. I have never decided whether that is coincidence or the best joke in the history of card design, and I have had a long time to decide. Perhaps the woodcutter simply liked hats. Perhaps infinity likes hiding in cheap costumes. Both readings, you will find, are excellent practice for tarot. And spare one thought for Etala along the way, our backwards-named professional from last week, because he handled this card in the manner of a true working reader. He looked at the mountebank and saw neither sinner nor saint, but a colleague. A man who sets up a table before strangers, commands attention, and makes his living by knowing more about the crowd than the crowd knows about itself. Etala read cards in a market of skeptics for money. He knew exactly which parts of the trade were performance and which parts were true sight, and he knew, as every honest reader since has known, that the two share a table whether we like it or not. The line between showman and seer has never been a wall. It is a discipline. It is redrawn every time a reader chooses the truth over the impressive sentence. Remember that whenever someone reads for you, including me. Now, here is why I told you all of that, and it is not trivia. Hold both of his lives in your hands at once, because the card still contains them both. The magician of 1909 says, "You have every tool, and the power is real." The battler of 1450 says, "Watch the hands, friend, especially the one he wants you looking at." A card that has been both a saint and a con man reads differently than a card that was only ever a saint. When the magician lands upright and clean, he is the altar. When he lands crooked, shadowed, reversed, or in bad company, the folding table comes back out. The deck never forgot where he came from. And that is not a flaw in the card. That is the card. Power and trickery are not two different subjects. They are one subject viewed in different light. The Renaissance knew it, the occultists knew it, and by the end of this hour, you will know it in your fingers. The lesson. And tonight the lesson is sitting right there on his table. 4 objects: wand, cup, sword, pentacle. Last week you learned the 4 suits as territories. Tonight you learn the 4 aces, the first card of each suit, because the aces are what the magician is actually looking at. And once you can read an ace, you can feel the exact moment a reading turns. Understand first what an ace is. An ace is not a small card. Beginners see a 1 and think minor, opening act, skip ahead. Wrong. The ace is the entire suit, compressed, pure, raw, unspent. Every ace in Pixie's deck is drawn the same way, a hand emerging from a cloud, offering the emblem of the suit. Hear that image properly. Something is being handed to you out of nowhere, unearned. An ace is an offer, not an achievement, not a result, not a promise, an offer. And offers, as you know from your own life, can be taken or left to expire. That is what makes aces electric in a reading. They mean the door is open right now, and doors do not stay open. The Ace of Wands. A hand from the cloud grips a living branch, still sprouting leaves, so alive it is shedding them. This is the offer of fire, a new desire, a project, a passion, a pull toward doing. It arrives as restlessness, as the idea you cannot stop mentioning, as the tab you keep reopening. When the Ace of Wands lands, I ask one question. What have you been itching to start? Because the itch is the card. The branch is cut and offered and burning with sap. It wants a hand around it. The Ace of Cups. The hand offers an overflowing chalice, 5 streams pouring down, a white dove descending into it. The offer of water, new feeling, new love, yes, and every beginner reads it as romance. But hear the fuller truth. It is the heart reopening for business of any kind. A friendship that surprises you. Forgiveness you did not plan. Creative feeling flooding back into grey work. Grief beginning at last to move. The cup overflows because feeling that arrives after drought always arrives as too much. When this ace lands, something in the chest is being offered a second chance. The Ace of Swords. The hand grips a sword upright, and the blade pierces a crown. The offer of air, clarity, the truth that cuts through. This is the moment the fog lifts and the sentence forms. I do not actually want this job. This relationship ended a year ago. I have been lying to myself about the money. The sword pierces the crown because real clarity spares nothing, not even what rules you. Of the 4 aces, this is the one people flinch from, and the one they thank the deck for later. When it lands, a truth is available tonight that was not available last week. The card only asks whether you will pick it up by the handle or the blade. And the Ace of Pentacles. The hand offers a single gold coin, and below it, a garden path leads through an arch of roses toward mountains. The offer of earth, the tangible open door, a job, an offer, money, a place to live, an opportunity with a date and a name attached. The most concrete ace, and notice the design. The coin floats in the hand, but the path is drawn on the ground. The offer is real, and it still must be walked. Money handed to you is not wealth. It is a gate. The garden is on the other side of your own 2 feet. 4 hands out of 4 clouds. Fire, water, air, earth, each one extended toward you at the beginning of something. Now put them back on the magician's table and understand what you are actually looking at when card 1 arrives. The magician is not a man who owns 4 objects. He is a man standing over all 4 offers at once: wand, cup, sword, and coin in arm's reach, drive and heart and clarity and ground. And he is the moment a person stops waiting for one more tool before beginning. That is why his hand is raised. Power is coming down to the table. The only question the card ever really asks is the one you already know how to ask now. The offers are made. Which hand will you close first? The Magician. Card number 1. 1. After 0, the first real number. The Fool was the breath before the first word. The Magician is the word. 0 is possibility. 1 is a decision. 1 is a point on the map with your name on it. The moment potential stops being a cloud and becomes a spot where somebody is standing. Everything the Fool carried in that little bundle gets unpacked tonight onto a table. Look at the card with me. Pixie's version, the one in your drawer or your imagination. A young man stands behind a table in a garden. Above him, roses climb an arbor. At his feet, roses and white lilies grow together, desire and purity sharing one bed of soil, and that detail is not decoration. Hold on to it. He wears a white robe under a red mantle, white for the clean intention underneath, red for the will, the blood, the appetite that gets things done in the world. Both. Always both. A person of pure intention with no appetite builds nothing, and a person of pure appetite with no clean center builds monstrosities. The robe and the mantle are a recipe. On the table before him, the wand, the cup, the sword, the pentacle. You know them now. 4 aces at rest. Every element a life requires, within reach of one hand. His right hand is raised high, holding a small white wand, a double-ended one, open to the sky at both tips. His left hand points down at the earth. As above, so below. He is not producing power. Look at the posture. It is the posture of a conduit, a lightning rod, a man who has agreed to let something pass through him and be aimed. That is the deepest thing this card knows, and most people miss it their whole lives. The magician does not believe the power is his. That is precisely why he can use all of it. The moment a person believes the power originates in them, they start protecting it instead of pouring it, and the current stops. Over his head, the lemniscate, the sideways 8, infinity, and around his waist, the serpent swallowing its tail. The current he is standing in did not start with him and will not end with him. He is a place the river passes through. So are you. The card is not a portrait of a special man. The card is a diagram of a possible stance. So what does he mean upright on your table? He means capable now. Manifestation, resourcefulness, skill, inspired action, the textbook words, but let me give them to you the way they actually land in a life. The magician. Upright means the gap between what you have and what you need does not exist. It is a rumor. You have been waiting for a qualification, a permission, a savings number, a sign, one more course, one more year. The card arrives and puts 4 aces on the table in front of you and says, inventory says otherwise. Begin. He is the card of the first act, not the plan for the act. The act. Send the first invoice. Book the room. Make the call. Write page 1, not the outline of the outline. When the magician lands upright next to a question that begins, "Am I ready?" the answer is not yes. The answer is, readiness is not a feeling. It is a table, and yours is set. And when he is reversed, now the folding table comes back out, and the street breathes again through the card. The reversed magician has 2 faces, and you must learn to check for both. The first face looks outward, and it is the con. Someone in the orbit of this question is performing power rather than holding it. The charm that moves too fast. The mentor whose promises stay just ahead of his results, like a carrot on a stick. The lover who is dazzling and, notice, always dazzling, because dazzle is the point. Dazzle is the raised right hand that keeps your eyes up while the left hand works. When the reversed magician lands in a reading about another person, I do not say run. I say, stop watching the show and watch the hands. What has this person actually done, built, kept, delivered? A true magician leaves a trail of finished things. A battleur leaves a trail of astonished audiences. The second face looks inward, and it is gentler and sadder and far more common. The reversed magician is also the person with a full table who never picks anything up. All 4 aces at arm's reach, and the hands stay folded. Untapped skill. The talent doing time in the closet with the guitar. The business plan revised annually for 6 years. Preparation as a hiding place, research as a sedative. One more tool acquired so the beginning can be postponed 1 more season. If the upright magician says the gap between having and needing is a rumor, the reversed magician is the one who started the rumor and tells it to himself nightly in a very convincing voice. He is not a fraud who fools others. He is a power that fools itself. Which face is it when he lands reversed for you? The company he keeps will tell you, and this is your combination lesson for the week. The reversed magician beside the 7 of swords, that card of the man tiptoeing away with an armload of blades. Someone in the story is working an angle, look outward. Beside the devil, the charm has hooks in it, look outward and step back. But the reversed magician beside the 4 of cups, the figure 2 withdrawn to see the cup being offered, or beside the 8 of swords, the self-built cage. Look inward, friend. The trickster in the reading is the voice that keeps saying, not yet. And one pairing more, the loveliest. The magician beside the fool, our card from last week. When those 2 land together, pay attention. The leap has found its hands. The beginning is not only open, but equipped. It is the deck saying, in its clearest voice, both things at once. The door is real, and the tools are real. I have watched that pair land in front of people who then changed their whole lives, and I have watched it land in front of people who nodded and went home and changed nothing. The cards are a mirror, not an engine. The engine, as ever, is you. Now let me make him practical, because a card is only as good as the moments it shows up in, and the magician keeps particular company with particular questions. When the question is work, and he lands upright, he is the green light with your name on it, the pitch, the application, the ask for more money, the first client. He does not promise the outcome. Understand, no card does. He promises the equipment. The difference between the magician and the sun is the difference between you are able and it goes well. And a reader who confuses them will overpromise. What he kills, decisively, is the excuse. With the magician on the table, I am not ready is no longer an available sentence. I am afraid remains available. It is always available, but at least the conversation becomes honest. When the question is love, read him with more care than beginners do. Upright, in a healthy story, he is the person who acts, who plans the date rather than describing one, who repairs the quarrel rather than narrating it, who makes the relationship a made thing built daily with visible hands. That is a fine card for love. But the magician in love always deserves one glance at his company. Tonight of all nights, you know why. Charisma is his native language, and the line between courting and conjuring is thinner in romance than anywhere else on earth. Upright and well-attended, he courts. Reversed, or flanked by the Seven of Swords or the Devil, he performs. You now know to watch the hands, so watch them here first, where the stakes are the heart. When the question is money, he is the reminder that resources are not only coins. The deck puts one pentacle on his table, not four, and surrounds it with a wand, a cup, and a sword, and that arithmetic is the whole teaching. Most money problems brought to my table are not, at root, pentacle problems. They are wand problems, no direction, or sword problems, no honest accounting, or cup problems, spending to soothe. The magician says, inventory all four before you blame the coin. And when he represents a person in your life, he is unmistakable. The capable one, the one who makes things happen, the friend who knows someone, the colleague who ships. If such a person has appeared in your orbit as you ask your question, the card may simply be pointing at them, saying, there is your teacher, or your ally, or, reversed, your lesson. Courts are not the only cards that wear faces. The majors do too, when the moment calls for it. Why does he come second, right after the fool? Because that is the honest order of every human beginning. First the leap, then the landing, then the look around, and the discovery that the world at the bottom of the cliff has a table in it, and the table is yours. The fool is the courage to begin without the tools. The magician is the discovery that you had them the whole time, in the bundle, on the stick, over your shoulder. He was carrying the wand, the cup, the sword, and the coin from the very first step. He just had not unpacked. You have everything you need. You have had it the whole time. That is the magician's single sentence, and the entire hour lives inside it. Something for your own hands, because I promised you every week would leave you more able than it found you. Last week you learned the 3-card line: past, present, current. Keep it. It is the workhorse. Tonight I give you a second spread, and it belongs to this card. I call it the Magician's Table, and it is the spread I reach for whenever someone says to me some version of the sentence I hear most often at my own table. I want to begin, and I do not feel ready. 4 cards. You lay them in a row, and the row is his table. Each position is one of the 4 tools, and each card answers one question. First position, the wand. The question, where is my fire actually pointed? Not where you think it should be pointed, where it is. The card that lands here tells you what you actually want, and I warn you now, it will occasionally contradict your stated plans, and when it does, believe the card over the plan. A reading that tells you what you already decided is a mirror hung facing a wall. Second position, the cup. The question, what is my heart bringing to this? And what is it hiding? The feeling underneath the project. Sometimes the cup position shows you joy, and the whole spread lights up. Sometimes you ask about a business, and the cup shows the 5 of cups, grief in the spilled wine, and you discover the venture was never a venture, it was an escape hatch. Better to know. The heart funds every enterprise or quietly defunds it. Third position, the sword. The question, what is the truth I am not saying out loud? The clarity card. The blade through the crown. This position does the work the raised hand does in the magician's posture. It cuts the fog. Whatever lands here, read it as a sentence beginning with the words, admit it. Fourth position, the pentacle. The question, what is the first real step on the ground? Not the vision, not the 5-year arc. The next physical act. The card here is your page 1, your first phone call, your Tuesday morning. Pentacles position answers are always smaller than people want and more powerful than people expect. The garden is entered through a gate, not through the map of the garden. Wand, cup, sword, coin. What do I want? What do I feel? What do I know? What do I do? Ask it about the thing you have been circling. Lay the 4. Read them left to right as an inventory, and then, the magician's move, read them as one table. If 3 cards blaze and 1 sits dark, the dark one is your work. The table is only set when all 4 tools are on it. And a small word about ritual, since last week I told you there are no required ones, and I hold to it. But I will confess the one I keep. Before I read, I turn the deck once in my hands, all the way around, like the serpent taking its tail in its mouth. It does nothing. It changes nothing in the cards. It changes me. It is 30 seconds of agreeing to pay attention. The magician's raised hand is doing the same thing, at cosmic scale. Every practice in the world, stripped to the bone, is a way of saying to the current, I am here, pass through. Find your own version. Keep it small. Let it be yours. Before the letters, a segment I have been looking forward to, and if last week we took the fear out of the dark cards, tonight we take the fear out of something else. The rules, the do's and the don'ts, the folklore of the trade. Because the moment you buy a deck, or mention owning one, the rules arrive. A cousin, a shop clerk, a stranger on the internet with great confidence and a username full of moons, someone will tell you what you must and must not do. And the list is long, and most of it is invented, and some of it is invented recently while claiming to be ancient, which by now, 2 weeks into our history lessons, should sound familiar to you. Tarot's oldest tradition is inventing traditions. So let us go through the folklore the way we went through death and the tower. In the light, one at a time. Myth the first and the most famous. You must never buy your own deck. It must be gifted, or the cards will not work. Charming, untrue, and worth a moment, because its logic is worth seeing through. There is no record of this rule before the 20th century. None. The Visconti dukes commissioned their decks. A tailor, the first professional in history, sold decks. That was half his business. He would have been horrified by this rule. Somewhere in the last 100 years, the idea appeared, probably because a gift feels fated, and fate feels like magic, and a purchase feels like a Tuesday. But hear me, the deck is a mirror. You may buy a mirror. The mirror does not check the receipt before it reflects you. Buy the deck whose pictures make you want to look longer. That is the entire criterion. And if someone does gift you one someday, lovely. Accept it with both hands. But waiting to be gifted a deck before you may begin is just the reversed magician again, folded hands at a set table, wearing a superstition for a coat. Myth the second. The deck must be cleansed. Moonlight, salt, sage, a bell, or it accumulates energies. I will be gentle here, because ritual, as I said earlier tonight, has real uses. And if leaving your cards on the windowsill under a full moon makes you feel the practice is sacred, then it has done something true to you, which is where all the magic was ever located anyway. But the cards themselves? Paper does not accumulate misfortune. What actually accumulates is your own state. A reader who is frightened, resentful, or exhausted reads badly. The mirror gets read through fog. So yes, clear something before you read, but the something is you. 30 seconds of attention, the turn of the deck in the hands, a window opened. The moon is optional. She is beautiful, but she is optional, and she has never once minded being skipped. Myth the third, the dark one. Tarot is dangerous. It opens doors. It invites things in. You have heard this one, perhaps from someone who loves you and worries. So let me answer it seriously and in the plainest voice I own. You have sat with me for 2 hours now. You know what these cards are: a game from Milan, a lie about Egypt, a hustler's props promoted to an altar, and an artist named Pixie who drew human situations so precisely that strangers see themselves in the pictures a century later. There is nothing in the box, friend. No door, no guest, no invitation. What the cards open is you, and I will not pretend that is nothing, because it is not nothing. Sit down at any honest mirror and ask, what am I refusing to look at? And you may meet something that frightens you. But it lived in you, not in the cards, and it was running your decisions from the dark, and now it is in the light where it can be dealt with. That is not danger arriving. That is danger finally becoming visible. The people warning you about the deck are usually, without knowing it, warning you about introspection. And introspection is only dangerous to the arrangements that require you not to look. Myth the fourth, and the one I hear weekly at my own table. You cannot read for yourself. Too biased. It does not count. Half true, and the half matters. Reading for yourself is hard, not forbidden. The bias is real. You will be tempted to reshuffle the answer you did not like, to read the 10 of Swords as maybe a 9, to give yourself the gentle version. Every reader alive has done it. But the cure is not to outsource your mirror forever. The cure is the discipline you learned tonight. Read the picture before you read your hopes. Say out loud what is literally on the card, the blindfold, the spilled cups, the folded hands, before you say one word about your situation. The picture keeps you honest. It is why Pixie drew pictures. Read for yourself, and when the stakes are so high or so tender that you cannot trust your own eyes at the mirror, that is not failure, that is wisdom, and it is what readers are for. Even the magician, with every tool on his table, goes to the high priestess. Next week, you will see exactly why. Myth the fifth, and last, and quickest. Reversals are required, or reversals are nonsense, depending on which stranger you ask. Neither. Reversals are a dial, not a law. Some readers shuffle so the cards land both ways and read the upside-down ones as blocked or inward energy, the way I taught you last week with the Fool. Some readers keep every card upright and find the shadows through position and company instead, and their readings lack nothing. Choose either. Change your mind next year. The deck will not file a complaint. 78 cards, each with a light face and a shadow face. That part is not optional, but how you surface the shadow is craft, and craft is personal. So there is the folklore, swept. And notice, because it is tonight's lesson wearing 5 disguises, what every one of those myths has in common. Each one puts the power somewhere other than your own hands. In the gift giver, in the moon, in the lurking dark, in some better qualified reader. The folklore keeps you standing beside the table, waiting for permission, for cleansing, for safety, for someone else. And the card of the hour has been standing behind me this whole segment with one hand raised, saying the same thing he has said for 500 years, first as a hustler and then as a priest, and always with a straight face. The tools are on the table, and they were always yours. Now, the fire is warm and the folklore is ash. Bring me the letters. And now the fire and the letters. The mailbag is young, this being only our second evening together, and the doors I opened last week are still creaking. So tonight, once more, letters of the kind this fire was built for, 3 of them, and each one, you will notice, has the magician's fingerprints somewhere on it. Beginning next week, the letters are yours, and I already know from the questions arriving at my door that some of you are standing on edges worth reading by firelight. First letter. Dear Galileo, I have been a nurse for 11 years. For the last 3, everyone, including my own mother, has told me I should teach. There is a shortage, a program nearby. They practically begged me to apply. I have the application open in a tab right now. It has been open so long the website logged me out twice. I am not afraid of the work. I do not know what I am afraid of. Signed, 12 tabs open. 12 tabs open. I suspect the tab count is higher, but I honor the modesty. 3 cards. Past, present, current. Your past. The 8 of Pentacles. A craftsman on his bench, hammering out coin after coin, each one hung up like a finished star. The card of apprenticeship served. 11 years of shifts, hands learning until the hands know. This is the soil you grew from, and hear what it means. The question in front of you is not whether you are qualified. The 8 of Pentacles is the deck notarizing your qualifications. That question is settled and has been for some time, which tells us the open tab is not waiting on proof. Your present, the magician, reversed. There he is, our card of the hour, upside down at the exact center of your life. And which face? You wrote the answer yourself. Everyone begs, the tab stays open, the login expires. This is not the con. There is no trickster in your story, but the inward one. The voice that says not yet. The reversed magician who stands over a fully set table with folded hands. 11 years of pentacles behind you, and every tool laid out, and the raised hand lowered. You asked what you are afraid of. The card says, not failure, visibility. A teacher stands at the front of the room. The bedside was honest work, and it also kept you, forgive me, usefully hidden. And your current, the sun. One of the brightest cards the deck owns. A child on a white horse, arms open, under a sun with a face, sunflowers over the wall. No subtlety in it whatsoever, the deck declining to be coy. Where this flows, if you let it, is not merely fine, it is warm. Students, a classroom with light in it, the particular joy of watching a hand learn what your hand knows. 1 sentence, 12 tabs. The craft is finished learning. The hand that should be raised is folded, and the sun is already up over the schoolhouse. Log back in. Tonight, before the site logs you out a 3rd time. Not because the cards command it, they command nothing, but because the only thing between you and the sun card is a password field, and you know the password. 2nd letter. Dear Galileo, I met someone 4 months ago, and it has been fireworks. He talks about our future constantly. Trips, a house, even names for a dog. But a friend pointed out that he has cancelled on me 8 times, always with a beautiful apology, and that I have never met a single person from his life. When she said it, I got angry at her, which scared me more than anything he has done. Is this real? Signed, Dazzled. Dazzled. You signed with the diagnosis. But let us be fair and thorough, because charm is not a crime, and some fireworks are attached to actual celebrations. 3 cards. Your past, the Knight of Cups. The young rider, armor decorated with fish and rivers, holding the cup out before him like a proposal, the horse stepping slow and ceremonial. The romantic herald. This is how it began, and the card is genuinely lovely. Invitation, poetry, feeling offered openly. Knights, though, remember the lesson of the courts. A knight is energy in motion, and the question a knight always leaves open is whether the motion arrives anywhere. An offer riding toward you is not yet an offer in your hands. Your present, the magician, reversed. Twice in one night, and a different face entirely, and this is exactly why I taught you to check the company he keeps. Because look at your 3rd card first. Forgive me. I am doing this out of order for a reason. Your current, the 7 of Swords. The man tiptoeing from the camp at dawn, 5 swords bundled in his arms, glancing back over his shoulder, 2 swords left standing in the sand. Now read the pair the way I taught you an hour ago. Reversed magician beside the 7 of Swords. Look outward. Watch the hands. 8 cancellations with beautiful apologies dazzled. Hear the structure of that. The apology is the show, the raised right hand, the patter. The cancellation is the left hand, the one doing the actual work. A future described in loving detail. Trips, house, dog, and a present in which you have never met one living person from his world. Futures are free. Futures are the cups and balls. The present is where the coins actually change hands, and in the present, the seats around you at his table are, by your own account, empty. I want to be precise, because the cards are precise. They have not convicted him. The 7 of Swords is a current, not a verdict, where this flows if nothing changes. Perhaps there is an explanation, a wound, a reason his life is sealed. Here is how you find out, and it costs 1 sentence. Ask to be let in. Dinner with the friend. The sister he mentions. Something real, on a date, in a place. A magician upright says yes and sets the table. A bateleur folds the table and produces a beautiful apology, the 9th. And if that is what you receive, believe the hands and not the show. And dazzled about your anger at your friend. You were not angry because she was wrong. Guard the people who tell you the true thing while it is still cheap to know it. 3rd letter. Dear Galileo, I am 55. My youngest left for college in the fall, and my husband and I are fine. This is not that letter. It is just that the house is quiet, and I keep standing in the middle of rooms. 30 years of being needed every hour, and now the hours are mine, and I feel like a stranger holding a purse full of foreign money. Who am I now? Signed, Quiet House. Quiet House. Every card table should be so lucky as to receive this letter once a season. You think you wrote to me about emptiness. Watch what the deck does with it. 3 cards. Your past. The 6 of Pentacles. The merchant with the scales. Coins falling from his hand to the people kneeling at his feet. The card of giving, weighed and constant. 30 years of it, by your accounting and the decks. Hands, hours, attention, poured down, measured out, everyone fed. It was real wealth, and you really gave it. And notice the grammar of the picture. The giver stands, the receivers kneel and cup their hands, and nowhere on the card does anyone pour anything back into the standing figure. That was the arrangement. It had honor in it. It is also, hear this, over. Your present, the Four of Cups. The figure under the tree, arms crossed, 3 cups lined up in front of them, tasted and known, and out of the small cloud, a 4th cup, offered, unseen. You stand in the middle of rooms, you say. The card says, you stand in the middle of an offer. The quiet in the house is not an emptiness, quiet house. It is a hand out of a cloud, and it is holding a cup with your name on it, and you cannot see it yet, because you are still facing the 3 old cups, the ones you drank for 30 years, wife, mother, keeper of the hours. The foreign money in the purse, that was your phrase. The 4 of Cups says, it is not foreign, it is simply unspent. And your current, the Ace of Wands. The hand from the cloud, gripping the living branch, leaves flying. After an hour like tonight, I hardly need to translate, but some sentences deserve saying aloud. Fire is being offered to you. Not a role, not a duty. A desire, yours, with no one else's name on it. The kind you were too poured out to feel at 35. The deck has answered your question, who am I now, with characteristic manners. It has declined to tell you, and handed you a burning branch instead. Because who am I now is not a question with an answer. It is a question with a next move. So, 1 sentence for the quiet house. 30 years the standing giver, now seated before an unseen cup and an offered flame, and the only instruction the cards will give is the magician's own. The table in front of you is not empty, it is set. Take the branch, quiet house. Sign up for the thing. You know which thing. You have known since the parking lot of the college. The hours are yours. Spend them like the fortune they are. That is the fire for tonight. And next week, the letters are yours, truly. Go to askgalileo.live. There is a place to write to me. Sign it with any fine disguise you please. Tell me I may read it aloud. The fire does its best work on real wood. So, what are you carrying out of the 2nd hour? You know the magician's secret history now, the street performer promoted to priest, and why both men still live in the card. You know the 4 aces, the 4 hands out of the clouds, offer of fire, offer of feeling, offer of truth, offer of ground. You have stood at the table with card 1, upright. You have everything you need, and reversed, the con and the folded hands, and you know to tell the difference by watching the company he keeps. And you have a new spread for your own table, the magician's table, want, feel, know, do, 4 cards that turn I am not ready into an inventory. Next week, the fool walks on and meets the strangest figure on the whole road. After the magician's noise and firelight, a silence. A woman seated between a black pillar and a white one, a crescent moon at her foot, a scroll in her lap that she does not offer, a veil behind her sewn with pomegranates, and behind the veil, well, that is rather the point of her. Card 2. The High Priestess. The magician taught you to act. She will teach you when not to. He is everything you can hold in your hands. She is everything you cannot. I will say it plainly. She is the deepest water in the deck, and we will go in slowly. Until then, the 3 doors, and you know them now. If tonight left you wanting a reading of your own, your question, your cards, the full spread read aloud in this voice, come to askgalileo.live. I am always awake. If you want your letter opened at this fire next week, same door, askgalileo.live. There is a place to write to me. Sign it with any name you like. Tell me where you are stuck. And any night at all, you can ask me 1 question free. No account, no coin. Each week, I choose one of those midnight questions and go deeper on it here, with a full spread, the asker nameless forever. The question you whisper tonight may be the one the fire gathers around next Sunday. Someone out there is carrying your exact trouble. Ask it for both of you. I have been Galileo. The stars do not lie. They do occasionally withhold, but not from you. Not tonight. Sleep well. Begin something. And if a charming stranger sets up a little folding table between you and your coin purse, watch the hands.